Hello friends, welcome back once again to my YouTube channel Quest for Knowledge. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe my channel. Today we are going to discuss about respiration and human respiratory system. Respiration is a biochemical process by which living cells they produce energy for various life processes. In this process, the food materials which is taken during the process of nutrition is broken down to release energy. Respiration is of two types, aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. So first, let us discuss about aerobic respiration. The respiration in which oxygen is used for the breakdown of the food to release energy is known as aerobic respiration. In aerobic respiration, glucose is completely broken down into carbon dioxide and water by oxidation. This produces energy which is stored in the form of ATP molecules by the living organisms. This type of respiration takes place in the mitochondria of the cell. Aerobic respiration takes place in most of the living organisms. Aerobic respiration can be represented as glucose. It undergoes glycolysis in cytoplasm to form pyruvic acid. Pyruvic acid it undergoes Krebs cycle in presence of oxygen to give 6 molecules of carbon dioxide and 6 molecules of water with the release of 38 ATP molecules. Mitochondria are the site of aerobic respiration in the cell. Anaerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration it takes place without oxygen or in absence of oxygen. Some microorganisms like yeast and some bacteria during fermentation they convert glucose into ethanol and carbon dioxide with the release of energy. Anaerobic respiration can be represented as glucose it undergoes glycolysis in cytoplasm to give pyruvic acid which is similar to aerobic respiration. But in the second step, this pyruvic acid it undergoes fermentation in the absence of oxygen by certain microorganisms like yeast to give ethanol, carbon dioxide and 2 molecules of ATP. Here you see during aerobic respiration 38 molecules of ATP is produced, whereas in anaerobic respiration only 2 molecules of ATP are produced. So aerobic respiration it produces more energy in comparison to anaerobic respiration. Now let us try to see the difference between aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Human beings they obtain energy by the process of aerobic respiration. However, anaerobic respiration it takes place during vigorous physical activity. Oxygen is used up rapidly to release energy. However, the blood cannot supply enough oxygen required to release energy in the muscle cells. In this condition, anaerobic respiration it takes place in the muscle cells to convert glucose into lactic acid with the release of less amount of energy. Here, glucose it undergoes glycolysis in cytoplasm to form pyruvic acid. And in absence of oxygen in the muscles, 2 molecules of lactic acid is produced with the release of 2 ATP. Sudden buildup of lactic acid in the muscles during vigorous physical activity causes muscle cramps. Gradually, as the blood gets rid of this lactic acid, the pain also gets less or subsides. Now, let us discuss about respiration in different organisms. First, let us discuss about respiration in plants. In roots, the exchange of gases takes place by the process of diffusion, where oxygen diffuses into the root hairs and passes it into the root cells, and from where the carbon dioxide moves out into the soil. The bark of the trees has lenticels for gaseous exchange. In the leaves, the exchange of gases takes place through the stomata, where the oxygen it enters into the leaf by diffusion and carbon dioxide is released into the atmosphere. Respiration in animals. In amoeba, the diffusion of gases takes place through the thin cell membrane of the organism. Aquatic animals like fish and prawns, they have gills as the respiratory organ. Exchange of gases takes place through the moist skin in the case of frog and earthworm. In addition to the respiration through skin, frogs they have lungs for respiration. Land animals like birds, lizard and human beings, they have lungs for respiration. Insects, they have air tubes or trachea as their respiratory organ. Species, the dissolved oxygen in water enters to the mouth, which reaches the gills, where oxygen diffuses into the blood capillaries. The carbon dioxide produced during respiration is passed outside to the surrounding water through the gills. Let us discuss about human respiratory system. Human respiratory system comprises of nostrils through which the air enters during inhalation. The nostril leads to the nasal passage. Inside the nostrils, fine hairs are present which helps in filtering the air entering the nasal passage. The nasal passage is also lined with mucus that prevents the dust and germs present in the inhaled air from entering inside the nasal passage. The pharynx is a muscular tube that connects the mouth cavity and nasal cavity to the larynx and esophagus. The pharynx leads to the larynx, commonly called the voice box, which produces the sound. Below the larynx, the trachea is present. Trachea is also known as the windpipe. The trachea divides into two smaller tubes called bronchi. Each bronchus enters the right and the left lung. Rings of cartilage are present along the respiratory tract so that they do not collapse and ensure easy air passage in and out of the lungs. Inside each lung, the bronchus further divides into smaller tubes known as the bronchioles. These bronchioles finally terminate into balloon-like structure known as alveoli. The walls of alveoli contains dense network of blood capillaries where exchange of gases takes place. Now, let us try to understand the mechanism of breathing. Breathing is a complex mechanical process. It is the involuntary movement which is controlled by the respiratory centers of the brain. Breathing comprises of inhalation or inspiration and exhalation or expiration. Inhalation is a process by which air enters into the body, and exhalation is a process by which air is removed from the body to outside. During inspiration or inhalation, the ribs are pulled outside by the external intercostal muscles, and the diaphragm, which separates the thoracic cavity and the abdominal cavity, it undergoes contraction, thereby increasing the chest cavity, and the air it enters through the nasal passage and reaches the lungs. Whereas during expiration or exhalation, The diaphragm, it relaxes and comes back to its original position. The ribs are pulled inward by the inner intercostal muscles. This decreases the thoracic cavity or the chest cavity, and then this pushes the air which is present in the lungs to outside through nasal passage. In this way, in breathing, inhalation and exhalation is carried out. Let us now try to understand the exchange of gases taking place in alveoli. We all know that inside the lungs, bronchioles, it ends in a bunch of sac-like structure known as alveoli. And this alveoli is richly supplied with a dense network of blood capillaries. The carbon-rich blood or deoxygenated blood, it enters the capillaries and it gets diffused into the alveoli, which is removed during expiration. Whereas oxygen entering into the lungs during inspiration, it reaches the alveoli, which gets diffused into the blood in the blood capillaries. The oxygen, it combines with the hemoglobin present in the blood and is transported to different parts of the body. In this way, there is exchange of gases taking place in alveoli. Now, let us try to see the gas exchange taking place in tissues. In the cells, there is continuous breakdown of glucose to release energy by utilizing oxygen, and during this process, carbon dioxide is released. The blood capillaries carrying oxygen-rich blood, it diffuses oxygen into the cells, which is used for cellular respiration and breakdown of glucose. Carbon dioxide, which is produced during this process in the cells, it diffuses into the blood capillaries and it is transported to the lungs so that it can be expelled out from the body during expiration. Today we discussed about respiration and types of respiration, namely aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. We also discussed about human respiratory system, and we also discussed about the mechanism of breathing. I hope you enjoyed watching the video. Thank you for watching it.